finally, some news on the David front. Courtesy of TMZ. He's likely, again, he hasn't been arrested just yet. He's likely to be indicted in the Celeste Rivas murder. This is more than we've heard recently. Since this case is kind of, gone all over the news. Horrible case of this really young girl's remains being found in the trunk of a Tesla, in some, park in some place where they cars get taken, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Horrible case. And then obviously, as the story unraveled, we found out that she had this relationship with this singer called David, who was popping up a bit over the last year and stuff, and he had a big tour that he was doing at the time of her passing. And obviously, and then it transpired that we found out more information that they had some sort of relationship, although this David guy is much older than this girl, and she was very underage. She might have been a young teenager or something along those kind of lines. Big up Uche in the stream chat as well. So yeah, crazy situation. And so far there's been no arrest, although it looks quite cut and dry that this guy David is somewhat involved in it. So far there's been no arrest. It seems like the more it went on, it was less to do with incompetence and more to do with the LAPD, whoever's investigating this, wanting to make sure they had all their I's dotted and their T's crossed. That's what it felt like. It felt like they didn't want to make any arrests, any hasty movements until they had all the facts, all the information, all the evidence necessary. So I'm assuming all this time that's passed, they've been gathering all that intel, and they're probably likely to move ahead in order to kind of charge somebody for this murder of this young girl, and hopefully give the family some sense of closure, because it's quite a tragic tale when you kind of read into everything that goes on, the details about it. You find out that this girl was having issues with her family. She ran away a few times, clearly a vulnerable person who had been, I would say, this is like a textbook definition of someone that had been groomed by somebody in a position of power that probably should have known better. And yeah, it unfortunately ended in a really tragic way. So let's see what happens. But this is good news if you wanted to see some form of justice being done in this particular case, because it says likely to be indicted. And I will take TMZ's word for it, because TMZ, I think, has very close sources within the LAPD to know exactly what's been going on with this case and getting, updates as they happen. So I think if TMZ are saying this is probably likely that there is going to be some movement in terms of the arrest and getting some sort of resolution when it comes to this horrible case. Let's read the article courtesy of TMZ. It says singer David will likely face murder charges for the death of Celeste Rivas, and that's because the grand jury has been hearing the case and will be asked to hand down an indictment, sources tell TMZ. There was a report last month that the grand jury was an investigative grand jury, a grand jury that helps authorities gather evidence that one does not indict, but an investigative jury can be useful to subpoena and then force uncooperative witnesses to testify. See a picture there of the David guy. Our sources say, however, the grand jury has been hearing witnesses in the Celeste Rivas murder is actually one that will vote on the indictments. And the multiple sources tell TMZ that authorities, including prosecutor Beth Silverman, believe David was involved in the death of Celeste Rivas. What's really weird about this, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys had the same thing happen to you. I found out about this David guy organically on social media because I think he had a tune that was blowing up recently. I forgot which one it was. It might have been the song he did with Kali Uchez, I think so, but there was a song anyway. I did my Googles, I checked out some interviews about him. He seemed really creative, cool dude, and I think one of the main things that his selling point was that a lot of his songs, a lot of his hit records, he recorded on this iPhone app. There's an iPhone app that a lot of kids use to basically make their songs on. It's kind of like an iPhone garage. It's kind of like an advanced, an iPhone friendly version of Garage Band and fucking Fruit Loops and shit, right? That kids use to kind of make their records. And he was showing, or he did like a YouTube where he kind of made a song from start to finish. Really fucking cool. Layering all the vocals, putting all the tracks on there, recording all the vocals in a cupboard in his house somewhere for better acoustics, all this malarkey. And then very soon after, this case happens. Not too sure what that is about. I felt like the timing is weird because I never heard of this David guy. He suddenly suddenly comes across my timeline because of a record he released that was doing numbers, and then boom, soon after he's allegedly involved in this murder. It's really crazy how that shit happens. It says TMZ broke the story earlier this month that David's day-to-day manager, Robert Morganroth, testified for days. Jesus Christ. A TMZ reporter heard that Morganroth told his lawyers in a courtroom hallway that Silverman was very pushy as to why he didn't call the police. He said he responded saying he wasn't his responsibility and his job was to make sure David's talk kept going. Is this guy one of the is this guy likely one of those people? Is this guy a three-letter word? Is this guy a three-letter word? Because that is some callous, money-driven, focused, shark shit, innit? Allegedly, this is what he said. He said he responded when they asked him why he didn't call the police. He responded allegedly that his responsibility was to make sure David's tour kept going. Fucking hell. A young girl is murdered. Her body is supposedly left dismembered in the trunk of a Tesla, decomposing in the sweltering heat of LA and shit, right? And this kid carries on going on tour. And again, a lot of people blame David on it on social media. Now we know that he was continuing his tour, not because he wanted to, but because his manager probably told him to do so. Fucking hell. Fuck it. The music industry is dark, man. The music industry is fucking dark. The music / entertainment industry is a dark place, man. Dark place. The grand jury generally did not want to prosecute, do what prosecutors want, sorry, in no small part because the target in this case is David, has no right to present a defense. There was talk in a courtroom hallway. The grand jury could hear witnesses in February, so don't expect a quick indictment. So yeah, R.I.P. Celeste Rivas, man. R.I.P. Celeste Rivas. Young girl gone way too soon in also tragic circumstances. Hopefully, justice is served. R.I.P. Celeste Rivas. R.I.P. Celeste Rivas.